Welcome back to Military Surplus Brothers, where today we're going to look at another Japanese rifle. Yes, welcome back. I'm going to stop doing that kind of cheesy kung fu voice. It doesn't really fit this. But we do have a Japanese rifle for you today. We're going to look at the Type 38 Japanese long rifle. That's the one we have in the back here. You may recognize from a previous video, we have the Type 99. Sort of a short rifle. They called it a short rifle. It's still relatively long. But these, of course, were used in World War II. And also, so were the Type 38. The Type 38 was kind of developed, just to give you a little history, around the turn of the century in Japan. The Type 38 name actually refers to its development year. It's the 38th year of the Meiji era. That would be, let me do my Japanese year math, 1906, so it's quite far ago. But they did serve from that period into the 1940s and actually served through the entirety of World War I and II and the various other conflicts that Japan entered itself into, like the Sino-Japanese War, first and second. And they also fought the Russians with this. So it has a fairly long service history. Let me tell you a little bit about the rifle itself. You have, of course, your standard Japanese flip-up sight. We'll come in and look at it a little bit closer. It is metered out to 2,400 meters and as low as, surprise, surprise, 4. Which seems kind of far away, but when you realize when this was developed, a lot of warfare was fairly far away. When you just have it all the way down at the bottom, it's actually, we think, somewhere around 3, and the battle site's somewhere between 200 and 300 meters. So you're still fairly far away whenever you're using that. The rifle is very long. Let's just give you an idea. We'll pick this up and put it next to myself. I measured myself today. I haven't gotten shorter. I am still 5'10", which is a very average height American. The rifle is basically at the very top of my forehead. It's right up here with the Hachimaki. Very tall. Now, to give you an idea, I actually looked up census information that the CIA actually, I don't know why they collect this information, but they have average height numbers on every country in the world. The Japanese still come in today at 5'7" on average for a male. If you go back to the 1940s, it's a little shorter, 5'6" or 5'5". So you can imagine a weapon of this length would be kind of unwieldy. That's one of the reasons that they eventually went to a shorter rifle like the Type 99. Let's do a little bit of shooting and then we'll get into talking about the cartridge itself and why they then later switched to a different one. But we'll get loaded up here. Put my ears in and load up. I actually loaded these up like I was going to use them on stripper clips. You can see there I have them there. Unfortunately, the problem with this is these are the wrong stripper clips. I have a lot of different military rifles and they do have a place for the use of stripper clips, which you can see there. But if you try to put it in, it actually will all go in at once. Or we had this joke working. There we go. It's more like an in-block clip for this rifle. It doesn't really stop like it's supposed to. The idea really, though, is that you're supposed to strip these things off, but since that's not going to work for us today, we're just going to load individually. We have a 139 grain bullet on this today, and the Arisaka is capable of loading 5 of them at a time, so we're going to load those individually because we have the wrong stripper clips. And then we're gonna kill some milk jugs downrange. And once I get loaded up, I will put my ears are in, but my eyes back on, my eye protection, which is on the table. There we go. Since I'm looking errantly for them on my head where they are not. And then we've got 5 loaded up. We're ready to go. All right, so let me see if I can hit something downrange here. We got 4 dangerously placed milk jugs down there. Let's see if we can hit them. There goes one. Let's see if I can get the other 3 here. There goes 2. That one may have escaped, but we'll set him up in a minute. There goes the second one. And we'll jump cut here. We're not going to let that third one get away. Hold on one second. One thing I did want to mention before we go back to annihilating milk jugs is actually something I neglected to mention in our previous video about Type 99s. You may notice on these rifles that there is this, what appears to be a scrubbed spot. We are not missing model designations or anything of that nature. What we're actually missing on actually both of these rifles, if you look over here on the Type 99, is a marking of property for the Japanese government or the Emperor of Japan. It was not uncommon for these rifles to be scrubbed of this mark. It's what's called a mum or a chrysanthemum. It's basically a flower marking, and we'll show you a little picture of that here. But these were basically saying, this belongs to the emperor. It does not belong to you, the soldier. It does not belong to your company. It does not belong to your general. It belongs to the emperor, and you are in the service of the emperor. The reason these were removed after the war is because Japan had, let's say, well, they had lost, but they were removing these so as to save face. They were removing the markings of the emperor so that if they were taken by the enemy, that it would not be as if the emperor's property was being stolen or that they were being shamed in some way. Obviously, the removal of all these markings was sort of a shameful thing just in and of itself, but it would be less shameful for, say, an American who was taking a war trophy to have one that didn't have the mark of the emperor than for them to actually have one that said the mark of the emperor. These rifles, just as note of fact, are never really imported to the United States. There is no large order from, say, CAI or PW Arms or any of the large importers for Arisakas. You very infrequently ever find them with an import mark. The reason for that is Japan did not sell them. It's just plain and simple fact. So you don't see that a lot. There are notable examples of it occurring, but neither of my rifles, for example, have an import mark, so it's a pretty common thing. One of the other things about these rifles is they both accept a Type 30 bayonet, which you can see down here. This actually is the bayonet that I have with my last-ditch Type 99, basically a later war version of the one on the bottom here. But this is accepted by a great deal of rifles in Japan. I believe going back to as far as the Type 30. Not surprisingly, it is the Type 30 bayonet, and it's, let's say, about a 12.5, 13-inch bayonet, very long. You can go through a couple of different people if you really had to there. And it does attach not only to the 30, or the 38, excuse me, as you saw there, but also the Type 99, which is really technically what this one was designed for. So it's a multi-use accessory for the Japanese soldier. And it fits basically every Arisaka made after 1906. So very useful little thing there. The other thing that I am missing on these rifles, is a bolt shroud. We normally would have a little piece of metal that goes over here, and again, we'll put in a little picture inlet to show you what that's supposed to look like. They did not serve, they didn't obviously survive the wars that they were in on these rifles, or they got lost somewhere along the way. You never know, collector could have tossed them. But the more likely case is that while these rifles came with this little shroud that would cover it up and it would protect the rifles from dust and grime and that kind of thing, is that they were really frequently thrown away because they were too loud. Japanese, as they say, would be really proud of how quiet they were in the jungle when they were fighting the Americans or the Chinese or whoever it is they were fighting at the time. And they would have a little rattle going on when they were using that shroud, more so than it does now. I mean, these are fairly quiet, just as a bolt is. I mean, they're basically a copy of a Mauser design, but that shroud would add a little bit of extra jiggly noise that they didn't like so much, so frequently they would just take them off and toss them. If I think about something else, we'll go back to talk about the cartridge in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and annihilate a couple more milk jugs downrange. Here we go. We found a couple more friends for our runaway milk jug down there. And we missed that one. Let's try again. He survived. We got that one. There we go. Let's go for Lefty right here. Well, we got him. We'll leave him alone for a second. Maybe we'll come back to him. Let's see. Well, we got him anyway. Oh well. All right, and last one on the right. This is the smallest target, so let's see if I can pull this off. We got him. All right, we're going to go to a little bit longer range and see what this baby can do, maybe 100 or 200 yards here. Before we do go to long range shooting, though, I thought it would be interesting to talk about the ballistics of this rifle. You do have 3 different rounds sitting here in the picture. These 2 on the left, or your right, my left, your right, are the 6.5 semi-rimmed Arisaka. This round was actually developed for the Type 30 Japanese rifle. They used it sort of semi-successfully in that, and then decided to use that in the later rifle, which you're looking at today, the Type 38. These are pretty flat shooting rounds. They were heavily desired by Japanese snipers because they would reach out to great distances very effectively. They can carry a lot of bullet weight behind them. Actually, you can't really see this in this cartridge, but this bullet actually travels another, several millimeters into the case. It's a fairly long round. It was very common in Japanese rifles to have a very, very long conical type pointed bullet. I mean, you're going to have a lot of bullet weight sitting behind it. So it was a very effective round. They decided, however, to transition from this round, these 2 6.5s, to this round on your left, my right. The 7.7 Arisaka, 7.7 by 58, if I'm not mistaken. The reason the Japanese decided to do this is because they felt as though they were lagging behind a lot of the rest of the world in the fact that they didn't have a large, or relatively large caliber rifle round. They were using, of course, the 6.5, and decided that they needed a greater powered bullet. It just so happens the Japanese had such a thing. However, they were using it in a machine gun. Their Type 92 heavy machine gun, if I recall correctly, or 95. But anyway, they already had this round around, so they designed an Arisaka rifle around it. Consequently, they have a much more powerful round during World War II for the Type 99 Arisaka, which you can see again in our previous video there. You will see both of these rifles frequently after World War II in some of Southeast Asia. The Type 38 and Type 99 are known very well for coming into conflicts as late as Vietnam. Some of them were captured and used by the Viet Minh. Let us go to long range and see what we can do with these rounds here. Okay, everybody, we're out at a 100-yard range now. We've got a couple of targets set up down range, 3 plates, 2 of which are seeing a little bit of an extended life because we have previously broken them. So in the Japanese tradition, we are raising them from the dead and worshiping them again. So again, we have the Type 38 rifle from World War I, or at least the design from around that period, or 1905. It was used most heavily in World War I. And we're going to go out here and see if we can reach out and touch some things. We do have a 2/3 size man target down there in our target frame, and then 2 basically shepherd's crooks down there holding 2 of our older targets. Let's see what we can do here. We've got 5 rounds loaded up already, and we've got a couple extra. Let's see how many times we can hit them down there. Put my ears back in, and we'll get started here. The Arisaka is a cock-on closing mechanism, so you do have to apply a little extra pressure at the end. So it's not the fastest thing in the world until you get used to it, but it works. Let's see what we can do. All right, we're going to go 2/3 man first here. Oh, I missed him. See, you practice beforehand and hit everything, and then now we get on video and I can't hit it. Try again. There we go. Alright, let's go to the large plate on the right, up high. Solid hit. Now we'll try the small one just below it. There we go. We'll try him one more time, then we'll go back in the other direction. Well, we're going to have to go the other direction because I turned him sideways. Wouldn't you know it? Put 5 more rounds in for myself here. If you'll come over here and see, this is pretty typical bolt action loading cycle. Basically, unless you have stripper clips, which we, again, have neglected to actually bring, you're going to load them single hand like this. You just basically put them over the follower and push down. And then when you're ready, push forward. There you go. All right, here we go. We'll go back to 2/3 man target here. Hit him a couple more times. There we go. It's almost like you don't have to try with this rifle. It's incredibly accurate. It shoots really flat, like we mentioned earlier in the video. Just amazing accuracy out of this thing. Like I said, it's like you don't have to try. Alright, there we go. My rifle bag's about to come off there. There we go. Alright, here we go. Back to the man down there. There we go. These are good solid center of mass shots too, I think. Not the most powerful rifle in the Japanese arsenal, but very, very accurate. There we go. One more in this set, and then we'll go reset our small target real quick. Back to the man here. Fittingly, I begin and end on a miss and hit everyone in the middle. We'll be right back. Okay, before we go back to shooting long range, we did want to mention a couple of technical aspects to this rifle to you. We sort of didn't do this in the Type 99 very heavily. We mentioned, you know, design features and so on, but we didn't get into the actual like mechanical workings of the rifle. The Type 38 and Type 99 are essentially the same rifle, just different caliber, or slightly shorter rifle in the case of Type 99, or most of them anyway. And the Type 30, of course, very similarly designed as well. One of the main things that we want to talk about today is, and we're going to show you this in a little inlet sort of towards the bottom of the video, but the Type 38 and Type 99, 30 and all that are basically derivative of the German Mauser design. One of the main things that they get from the Mausers is what's called a controlled round feed. And we're going to show you kind of real close up. You know, we've showed you in the little inlet there, but this bolt basically will pick up rounds out of the chamber, hold on to them with this giant little claw there, that's the extractor claw, and it will guide them all the way into the receiver as you push forward. When you turn, it'll continue to hold on to it. Okay? I mean, that claw will stay, you know, horizontal, but anyway, it will hold on to it the entire time. When you're done, it pulls back, and as you'll see in our second little inlet video, it gets hit by a little extractor point and gets flung out the end of the rifle. Now, another thing that they derive from the Mausers is they have this amazingly large locking lug system. They actually have 3 lugs here. There's 2 main lugs and a safety lug there, okay? That is going to make the Type 38, and this is well accepted, at least from ammunition and gun scholars of the time, a extremely strong rifle. Julian S. Hatcher actually in his Hatcher's Notebook book actually mentions this as the strongest action that was used during the Second World War. And you can imagine it would be. I mean, the caliber is not particularly hot or anything, but they loaded this thing up with ridiculous charges in testing, and it just kept on going. Just amazing rifle. One of the other things that we do want to mention to you is that this is an incredibly simple bolt system. The Mauser rifle bolts tend to be a little bit more complicated. This one doesn't really have much to it. It is literally the simplest bolt to take down ever. It has basically 4 parts. And those parts are basically you have the bolt body, which is connected to the bolt, or well, the knob there. The extractor there, which kind of rides on the side, turns with the round as it goes into the chamber, and you have the safety knob there. Now the safety knob functions in the sense that you push in and turn that way when you want to put it on safe in the rifle, which we'll show you in a little inlet video there and down at the bottom. But it also acts as your takedown mechanism. You're going to push in right here, and I kind of have to hold the other end of the bolt so this doesn't go anywhere, but you push in, turn, and pull back. Sometimes it'll eject violently if you don't hold on to it. But that releases the spring, which is the only real, you know, moving part on the inside, and you have a firing pin. That entire mechanism is the firing pin. This right here is an entire field stripping of an Arisaka bolt. This is basically the same way that a Type 99 works. My impression is this is basically how a Type 30 works, although they refined it a little bit for this rifle. But it is very, very, very simple. You can teach any Japanese guy who came out of the countryside during World War I or II how to take this apart, how to maintain it very easily. It doesn't require a lot of tools. Actually, it requires no tools other than whatever your cleaning was. And it can be done with minimal training. This is an incredibly simple system. It's like Mikhail Kalashnikov and Arisaka, the designer of this rifle, went to the same school, and they both got the commandment, thou shalt make mechanisms with no more than 5 parts. More than 5 parts, and you shall be exiled to China, or in the case of Russia, Siberia. But really, it is a very simple design. It is hard to mess up. I mean, people still do it, but it's hard to do. Really, really good design. Brilliant, in fact. Alright, let's go back up to our man size here. Ooh. Missed him. Try again. There we go. Alright, big gong, big gong. Right up there. Got him. Really is a smooth mechanism. It's great. Alright, small gong. There we go. Let's go back to the big boy to finish off this one, and we'll load up 5 more, and we'll finish out here. There we go. All right. 5 more here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Alrighty. Back to the man-sized target down there. He's crooked a little bit, but we can still get him. Alright. Let's go back to Mr. Small Gong. Ooh, I missed him. He won't get away for long. There we go. Got him. Or just barely, anyway. Alright. Big gong for the last 2 shots. We'll end with a finale here. 1. Ichi. And I'm just telling you, if you guys don't have a Type 38, do yourself a favor and get one. Excellent, excellent rifle. Nippon Ichi.